Okay, so this is your quick summary of, I guess it'd be Act 2. So we start Act 2 off with John Proctor and Elizabeth Proctor, who are married. Remember, John was the guy from Act 1 who cheated on his wife being Elizabeth. Um, John and Elizabeth are having like a dinner together. A conversation is very awkward. John is like walking on eggshells because he's obviously trying to keep Elizabeth happy. They get into a little argument because apparently the witchcraft thing is really taken off. And Elizabeth asks John to go to town and tell everybody that this is all fake and that Abigail told him it was fake. And he resists an awful lot, which makes her unhappy because she assumes, excuse me, that he won't go do it because he's trying to save Abigail's reputation. When in truth, he's actually trying to save his reputation. And they kind of get back and forth about it. And then Mary Warren comes in, which is their servant. She has been gone to town. And John gets very upset that she's been gone because she's supposed to be cleaning the house and taking care of the house with Elizabeth. And she tells them that there are a whole bunch of people charged now with witchcraft. People are going to die. And Elizabeth tells John, John, you must tell the court the truth. Mary Warren is threatened by John because he tells her she's not going back to court. John then says to her, if you go back to court, I'll beat you. And Mary Warren reveals that none other than Elizabeth Proctor was actually accused of witchcraft by Abigail. But Mary Warren saved her and said that she never saw any witchcraft since they lived together. This then propels John to understand the true gravity behind the situation, and Mary Warren goes to bed, and John Proctor decides he will go to town and tell everybody that this is fake. But not before Reverend Hale comes into the picture, and he starts questioning John and Elizabeth about their Christianity and whether they're good people or not. And throughout this conversation, we find that John does not go to church often because he does not like Reverend Parris. We find out that Elizabeth has been very sick through the winter. John is asked to recite his commandments by Reverend Hale and ironically forgets, thou shalt not commit adultery, which is ironic because he does in fact commit adultery. Reverend Hale basically tells them, be better people, go to church, and everything will be okay. Giles and Frances Nurse come busting in saying that their wives have now been taken. They're accused. That would be Martha Corey and Rebecca Nurse. And it's all going crazy. And then all of a sudden, Herrick and Cheever show up. And they say that they've issued a warrant for the arrest of Elizabeth. They say that there's a poppet, which is a rag doll, and that it has a needle stuck in its belly. That Elizabeth was doing witchcraft on Abby. Because Abigail was eating dinner that night. And all of a sudden fell over in excruciating pain and cried that Elizabeth was sending her spirit out on her. And they looked under her shirt and there was a needle stuck in her belly. They look in the house, they find the poppet that Mary Warren gave to Elizabeth, and in fact had a needle in the belly. So now there's solid proof, if you're getting my sarcasm, that Elizabeth is a witch. So they take her away to jail. And we end the act with John Proctor telling Mary Warren, you will go to court, you will tell them that this is your poppet, and Elizabeth had nothing to do with it, and we will get her back. And that's how things end. So that is Act 2.